Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning. For a few seconds, just close your eyes and imagine that we will be able to send fully autonomous and super intelligent robots to explore the space without any assistance, any supervision, or any guidance. Imagine that those robots, they will be able to explore the space and find out where to go, what to explore, and more importantly, what kind of information and what kind of samples are we looking for in the outer space. Now, I would like to invite you again to close your eyes and imagine that we will be able to clone like humans or experts' mind and curiosity and upload this curiosity and mindset into a robot, and then those robots, they will have the same curiosity as we have when exploring the outer space, right? Now, most importantly, the last one is imagine that you can, from Earth, experience the same thing as space exploration robots or astronauts will experience when exploring the space. You can feel what they feel, you can hear what they hear, and you can see what they see. You receive tactile feedback, and then you will be able from Earth to experience or to live the same experience as space exploration robots or astronauts would have experienced. Now imagine your kids sitting in a classroom and experience the same thing. They just get a machine, they get software, our software solution, and then they can feel through a tactile feedback what astronauts and space exploration robots have felt just a few hours ago. Now, this is not a science fiction. This is exactly what we are aiming to do at MyelinS, and this is how we see or how we foresee the future of space exploration. This is how we think we can revolutionize space robotics. My name is Ziad Taib. I'm the CEO and founder of MyelinS, a Munich-based startup whose mission is to develop cutting-edge software technology for space robotics. I'm only 28 years old, so pretty young. So this is basically what MyelinS is all about. Now I just want to kind of share with you from where we are coming and how this all started at first. So we are experts in machine learning, robotics, brain-computer interfaces, and we come from the healthcare sector. So I've been working over the last few years in developing cutting-edge software technology to push the boundaries of upper limb prosthesis. So mainly what you probably have heard about this revolutionizing prosthetics project from DARPA. So we're trying to restore sensation. You see this in this animation video which we have made in our startup. You see like an amputee is receiving sensory feedback information about what type of objects or the prosthesis is manipulating. Like for example, we have different objects with different curvatures, and then we are conveying information about level of sharpness of those objects. Those are this sensory feedback is super important for amputees and also for tetraplegic patients because this increases the embodiment of the prosthesis. And now what we are proposing is to take this technology, which has been developed in the healthcare sector, and try to deploy it, use it out of the shelf in space robotics. I mean, this might sound like a bit weird and why we decided to go space robotics, but because we have always this out-of-the-box thinking, we firmly think that this technology has a great potential to be used in space robotics. Now, the question, what are the problems we are trying to tackle within this developed technology? So one of the things is I've realized over the last few years is robots are really stupid. They can't really, they can only do things we program them to do. They cannot really, without supervision or without guidance, make an exploration, make navigations. They are lacking curiosity, right? And I think most of the great discoveries we have, they all started from, oh, dude, this looks interesting. there's no effective astronaut-robot collaboration in the sense that the astronaut is not receiving any sensory feedback. Imagine if you just take this technology from healthcare, from amputees, and deploy it in human-robot interaction. And yeah, exactly. And more importantly, is lacking of consciousness. So, within our revolutionary software technology for space exploration, we are proposing different methods, or let's say different packages, different features, how we can basically change the game. One of them is shared control. So we believe that robots and humans, they have to collaborate together to achieve different complex tasks. This is what we call semi-autonomous, which means the robot should be able and capable of making decisions in real time without any supervision, where to go, what to explore, and what samples are interesting, right? Because you don't want to wait for this like huge delay to receive a kind of a reward signals from the astronaut saying, no, yeah, this is okay, just go ahead, or not, right? But more importantly, the astronaut should like be kind of this high-level agent who can control the robot action, or basically just send these reward signals so that the robot can use this, even with this delay, to basically learn that on the fly. I give an example. I'm moving from A to B for the first time. I'm just looking for patterns. Like there is a primary school on the right side, there is a mall on the left side, and then the next day when I come and I want to go from A to B, I'm just looking for those patterns. So that was kind of exploring and learning on the fly. So this is what we want the robot also to do. But when I'm going from A to B the next day, my brain is giving reward signals, saying, yeah, that's true, this step is correct, you should continue, or just change your direction, this is not correct. So this reward signals is what we want a terrestrial station or astronauts to send to the robots. So that's why delay is not that important. The robot should be able, by itself, to make smart and be curious and know what are the intriguing places to go in the space. The second thing is the tactile feedback. We firmly think that we can revolutionize space exploration. We can, from Earth, experience the same thing as would have experienced if we go to Mars or Moon. This is through a non-invasive, very simple tactile feedback methods. Vibration, electrotactile, wherever you put those like sensors and wherever you use this machine learning models, you will be able to train people to associate different stimulation patterns with different physical properties of whatsoever you want to convey as an information from space. This is thanks again to the brain plasticity. And the last thing I want to talk about is expert curiosity. You can use brain-computer interfaces, show different images to the experts like geologists or astronauts, and then use some like particular patterns, which we call in brain-computer interfaces P300, just positive deflection in your brain signals that show up whenever you see something intriguing. I mean, if you train a classifier, machine learning model, to classify those images, and then you upload this into the robots, then whenever the robot sees a new image, the classifier will say this is intriguing or not. But this is based on what? This is based on the curiosity and the mindset of the expert who gave us this model, right? And now you can go even further and do the whole training in VR. So you can have, instead of have static frames, you can have a video of how you see, how you envision the space, the explored space, like Mars, for example. And then you can use the navigation with virtual reality with the subject's brain, the expert's brain, and upload all this information inside the robot. So what has been done so far? So we do have a technology which has been developed for healthcare, for rehabilitation robotics mainly. This technology went through different steps. I mean, for experts in software development, we went from alpha to beta phase. We started from a software publicly available with a publication just to be used by researchers all over the world. And then we made the second version of the software, which we call MyBrain technology, much more advanced than the first version based on like the feedback we got from people, from experts. And then we realized, or I realized myself first, that this has a commercial application. This should go into a startup. And that's why we decided to go and use this technology to revolutionize space robotics. This has like different algorithms, different methods spanning from traditional machine learning to deep learning algorithms, signal processing methods, virtual reality, and this is the most important features because we strongly believe that in the future, we won't be training the robots inside this space to perform different tasks. The robot should be already trained, and you just call those machine learning models, and then you call them, and they perform the prediction in real time. So the training should be done in Earth. And that's why you either use this curiosity to like basically build those machine learning models, or you use virtual reality and you simulate everything in the like this very unknown environment. And then we also have the sensory feedback methods, which were developed initially for sensory feedback and restoring sensation to amputees. So level of readiness, I just want to show like a couple of videos of what we have been doing over the last few years. One of them is, again, it's not the science fiction. This has been done before. It's just like, this is how we can use our technology to revolutionize space robotics. What you see here is a lady controlling a robotic arm using just thoughts. So we collect what we call EEG signals. She has to passively think about a certain movement as shown in the cues, like left, right, movement imagination. And from that, we decode that in real time, and then we send it to this robotic arm. What we propose is the same technology, but used for space robotics, and instead of showing cues or asking to imagine certain movement, we can just show images or videos. And then we look for those patterns to basically upload or build this classifier, this machine learning model of curiosity. Now, the second thing, just skip this one. Okay, yeah. The second thing is this sensory feedback thing. So here, this is me in the lab.
Yes.
And I'm feeling the same, like the stiffness of those objects manipulated by the other guy. So the other guy is just touching different objects, like soft, hard, and medium, like sponge for medium, the blue one, then charger for hard, and different other objects. And then I'm blindfolded, receiving feedback, and then saying what the subject is touching. So you see, for example, when he's touching the one I said like hard, then this is the for medium objects.
Medium.
And then we also have soft. But this is just like kind of the tip of the iceberg of what we can do, because we went through different sensory feedback modalities. Temperature, you can feel temperature as well. We went to sharpness, you can feel pain with the prosthesis. You can feel pain with those, you can feel the sharpness, the curvature of the objects.
Yes.
And then imagine this is exactly the information we want to collect in space about the objects manipulating by space exploration robots or astronauts. Again, I probably dig deep into the business model. So our business model is like B2B and B2G. So we think we can rely on like government contracts to basically push the boundaries of our technology. We are a B2B company, which means we are only developing software solutions. So there should be partners who already have those robots or machines, and then we will be just deploying our software inside those robots. It should be mentioned here that our software is completely hardware independent. So we, it's hardware independent, plus the software itself is very scalable. This is like our roadmap and milestones. So we have already developed the technology. We validated in healthcare, and now we are looking forward to use this in like the space robotics. We are looking for funding, partnership or possibilities, opportunities, and then software integration. Yeah, just like sharing some numbers about the market. I guess most of you are familiar with those numbers. And then, yeah, so potential customers and possible partners, obviously NASA, because NASA is basically leading those space missions all over the world. So we think NASA would be like the ideal profile of a potential partner or like collaborator. Department of Defense, I will be showing one further application of our software, which can be the same idea, the same concept, but imagine it in a drone which is sent, and then you kind of embody this drone to yourself, so that you can feel what the drone is touching. the drone is completely independent from like your control signal, and it's fully autonomous. And this could be sent for special missions. And also like the European Space Agency, SpaceX, and Blue Origin, and so on and so forth. This is like those are like driving forces behind the idea. Me, myself, research scientist at the Technical University of Munich, visiting researcher at the National University of Singapore, visiting researcher at Johns Hopkins University, working closely with people in this revolutionizing prosthetics project. My co-founder sitting over there, Sameh Garbaya, and then 2 other like partners from Munich. And this is like our expert panel. We have Dr. Sabri Mekawi from the European Union, expert in space, and actually he was one of the guys who pushed the idea towards more space robotics. The Dr. Ahmed Ramdani from Edinburgh University, from the German Aerospace Center, as well as from Chicago, Illinois. So to this I would like to just give you like our vision. Again, we have almost no expertise with like space. I would say so we are pretty new into space, but we do have a strong background, machine learning, signal processing, and robotics. And we think because we don't have this enough background in space, we might have another like view or we look from another angle how things should be performed in space. And that's why we think we can fully revolutionize space exploration. We can propose new cutting edge technologies to basically push the boundaries of space exploration and chart a route ahead for new era of space exploration. Could be scalable to security. I mentioned drones. This is just like, again, one of the applications. Could also go well beyond that to satellite failure recovery. I mean, again, satellites are sent, but if they are like, if like a failure happens, then they are dead for the company. So it would be of the utmost importance to think about more intelligent satellites, and this is where our software can be deployed again. And last thing, there is a new tendency nowadays in using exoskeletons, like whole body exoskeletons for people in like the automotive industry. For example, because we are based in Munich, we know like BMW is investing quite a lot of money in getting exoskeletons for their workers so that they can avoid like injuries, prevent injuries, and also help them lift heavy objects. So this software can again be this layer of intelligence that connects humans to machines in a bidirectional way. Thank you so much. Yeah.
I have a question for you. You said you had validated in the healthcare vertical. Mm-hmm. Have you completely abandoned the healthcare vertical, or what is your continued uses for your software technology within healthcare?
Sorry, just like I missed half of the question. Could you please repeat it again?
You validated your product in healthcare. Mm-hmm. Are you still working in healthcare? And what's going on in
No, I'm just like, I have validated the software in healthcare. I'm still like kind of working in healthcare, but just the research side. So we have like, research, you always have new ideas and you want to basically explore new directions. But to be honest, I think the software is ready because we've like kind of evaluated this like TRL5. So it's kind of ready from a healthcare perspective. Of course, there is always room for improvement. So we still have like new ideas how to basically take it to the next level. But I firmly think that the software is ready to be to do this transfer knowledge from healthcare to space robotics.
I have a question. This is a competition in innovation. Uh-huh. And what you're telling me is the only advantage this has, because most of what we've seen other people are doing, but your software is your advantage. Have y'all benchmarked it? Do I have any way of grading whether you're being innovative above the market?
You mean, if I understood it correctly, you mean like benchmarking in space or any kind of
machine learning?
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yes, the answer, like the first answer is yes. We're like, I mean, again, if I understood it correctly, if I give you, like the main novelty of this technology is the software. And why the software is different, because, for example, in machine learning, I take the example of machine learning. usually when you develop machine learning models, people say those like black boxes. So you don't know why. For example, I give you an image, like an example. You have a classifier which discriminates between cats and dogs. Okay? And most of the images you fed into the classifier, there was snow behind the cat. So you ended up just building a snow detector, not a cat detector. And as soon as you provide an image of a cat to classifier, then it's going to be classified as dog. So what we provide, unlike other people, we provide explainable machine learning models. And that's why, like, for example, when we make prediction, for example, this curiosity, we can provide what were the features in the images that they made this image intriguing. This is one thing. For this sensory feedback modalities, one of the greatest thing about the software technology is regardless where you put the sensors, in the body, we can train the subjects to associate those patterns with different physical properties. And your brain will adapt after a certain amount of time to this like new sensation. And then you consider, whenever, for example, imagine like vibration motors. You have 6 vibration motors, and then they vibrate at different frequencies just to convey the information about the manipulated objects. After a while, if you receive 3 vibrations at 25 hertz, then you will say, I'm touching sharp objects.
To follow up Dr. Munassi's comments, so from a healthcare perspective, is there a business strategy or are there partnerships that you're seeking? You said it's ready, so but you haven't generated revenue, but do you have a strategic plan to generate revenue within the healthcare space?
No, actually, I think what we'd like to do is rather start first with space, not with healthcare. Because healthcare, like we know and we have validated our software and so on and so forth. But the problem with healthcare is that every solution you provide has to be fully customized to that particular patient, which makes the business not that scalable, right? So our idea is rather to start generating revenues from the space, to come from outside the space and deploy the technology tested in space. How we want to do that? We want to start first by getting a partnership like with NASA or any space agency which is interested in our software, and then try just to validate again, do the same validation, but with the space problems, because they know their problems and we know our solutions. So we can just find this fit between what we have as a technology and what they have, or what they are seeking as solutions. We have been contacted by, for example, the Space Agency of Singapore, because I'm currently in Singapore. So I've received an official invitation to come there and then discuss with them what our software is capable of doing. We are also discussing this at the German Aerospace Center. We are also connected kind of to the European Space Agency. So I think rather the direction will be space before healthcare. And then we might go back to healthcare, or we might just go to the automotive industry, which seems to be also very, very exciting.
I have a question. What about IP?
So I hold the IP. So because this was developed partially from my research and partially in my spare time, so I've discussed with the university, and I hold the whole IP of the software.
But what do you hold? Is that a patent on?
Like the intellectual property of the software, and we are also in the process of submitting patents. The only problem is we don't have enough funding to go ahead with many patents, because this process is usually very expensive. So we the software itself, I developed it and I hold the IP of it, and then we are having in the process of submitting different patents.
Which country?
Sorry?
In where?
In Germany, obviously, where I'm based right now.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.